When Women Succeed, America Succeeds, our economic agenda for America. I'm United States Representative Kathy Castor. What a fabulous group. Oh, you all, this is terrific that you will come out on a rainy afternoon. But a little bit of rain is not going to stop us working for economic opportunity for our families and for women across our community. So I'm enthused to see so many good friends here today. And I'm very honored that we could be joined today by Nancy Pelosi. You all know that Nancy Pelosi is the House Democratic leader. She is the woman who has reached the highest level in American government, speaking out for women and families. I will never forget the day that she took the gavel and became Speaker of the House. And she took that gavel. She said, I take this gavel on behalf of the children all across America. And as a woman leader, it has been inspirational to serve under her leadership. As Speaker from 2007 to 2011, hopefully we'll hand her the gavel back one day. It's recently been handed over to the Tea Party, so hopefully we'll be able to bring that back. But during her tenure, just think about what we were able to accomplish, whether it was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, children's health insurance expansion, so vital to the state of Florida, Wall Street reform, more affordable housing opportunities, the Recovery Act that kept people working at a time when the greatest recession in our lifetimes hit. So we're honored to have you here in Tampa Bay. And we have work to do because coming out of this economic recession, some people have done very, very well, and God bless them. But there are many others all across the Tampa Bay area, the state of Florida, and our great country who have not ridden that wave back to economic prosperity. In fact, they're kind of stuck. And it's been women, most of all, that still that persistent 77 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Meanwhile, we're 47% of the workforce. And yet, we're 62% of all minimum wage earners. So there's something going on here in the economics of women and families. And here in the Tampa Bay area, in Hillsborough County, women in households where women are the heads of households, 28% live in poverty. In Pinellas County, 20% live in poverty. In Congressional District 14, it's higher because we're the working class neighborhoods of the area. So that's why we're calling all of you together today to help us work on our agenda. When Women Succeed, America Succeeds. We need to focus on those strategies that will help lift women and families and provide those economic opportunities. Leader Pelosi was the one who organized a group of women in the House of Representatives to work on this agenda. Paycheck fairness, child care, affordable housing. What else is it here in the Tampa Bay area that we can take back to our colleagues in Washington and help build on this agenda and lift up our community? Fortunately, we have some real champions that can give us good advice today. But first, I'd like to thank Kelly Paris and everyone here at the Children's Board. Kelly, where did you go? There you are. Thank you for hosting us today. By the way, the Children's Board is going to have a referendum in 2016 to reauthorize what the tax support it gets. So we're going to call on you for your help then, because this is a unique initiative in the state of Florida, Children's Services Councils, that help struggling families stay afloat. So thank you, Kelly, and everyone at the Children's Board. We also are joined by a champion for women, former Senator Helen Gordon Davis. Yes. Senator Davis was the author of the first sexual harassment law in the state of Florida. She worked tirelessly for pay equity and against domestic violence. Helen, you've been an inspiration to all, and I'm honored that you're doing it. And the clerk of the circuit court, Pat Frank. Is Pat here? I did want to recognize Pat. I hope she comes in. You all know Pat has been a stalwart for equal rights for all. And two interesting tidbits about Pat Frank. She was in the first class of women who graduated from Georgetown University and was in the first class of women admitted to Georgetown Law School. So some things you may not have known about Pat Frank. We're also joined by Pinellas County Commissioner Janet Long, Tampa City Councilwoman Lisa Monteleone, Hillsborough County School Board Member Doretha Edgecombe. Is Dr. Scruggs Leftwich here today? Former Deputy HUD Secretary and a fantastic advocate for women and families. We miss her. I should probably also recognize another advocate for women, families, and for great public schools. My mother, former USF President, and Secretary of Education. And my stepmother, the President of the Hillsborough County League of Women Voters, Mickey Henry. I'd also like to thank Veronica Tyner from State Representative Janet Cruz's office, Patricia Gibbons from Representative Betty Reed's office, Lorena Hardwick from Tampa City Councilman Mike Suarez's office. But looking around here, Madam Leader, I see small business owners, I see academic experts, I see many of our neighbors focused on improving the health of this community. The AAUW, thank you for helping lead the charge here today. I see entrepreneurs and many women, young and old, that are involved in important nonprofit business here. So we are going to hear from 3 women in particular that will share their stories. And then we're going to open up the floor to all of you. So while you're listening to their stories, please consider how you want to add on to this agenda and direct us to go back, whether on the local, state, or national level, and focus on this disparity in economic opportunity between women and men. What more can we be doing across this community and across the country to make sure that people have the ability to reach those ladders of opportunity in America to be successful? So first, I'm honored to call up Susan Leisner, who's with the Hillsborough County Commission on the Status of Women. Now, one of the other things Pat Frank did when she was a county commissioner, and I was a county commissioner, is we, at Senator Davis's urging, we reinstituted the Commission on the Status of Women for Hillsborough County. So we're very fortunate to have some good data on the Tampa Bay area and have a group that is focused every day on pay equity issues and those gender disparities. So Susan Leisner has been a champion for many years. She has a master's in business administration from New York University. She's a chartered financial analyst, has worked at Raymond James and Dean Witter. She served at Governor Bob Graham's appointment to the Public Service Commission and has been a consultant in all financial matters at the national level and the local level. We're very fortunate that she has lent her time and expertise on a voluntary basis to the Hillsborough County Commission on the Status of Women. She's also a founder of the Athena Society, which for many decades has been focused on economic opportunity and equal rights for women across this community. Susan, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I just want to give you this afternoon just a very short survey of what's going on in Hillsborough County right now. First of all, let's go back 10 years when the Hillsborough County Commission on the Status of Women was started. At that time, we had 4 out of 7 of our county commissioners were women. And of course, Kathy Castor was one, Pat Frank, and Jan Platt. And now we have 1 woman on our county commission out of 7. So that's one of our goals. We have to get women back into running for public office. And of course, Helen Gordon Davis, I think we actually had another commission on the status of women years ago in the 70s. And I'm sure Helen will remember, they got a little too mouthy and a little too vocal, and they were shut down. So it took a long time for us to finally get another commission on the status of women. So when we started 10 years ago, one of the first things we wanted to do was kind of survey what was going on in Hillsborough County. And lucky for us at that time, we actually had a little funding. That has since gone by the wayside, but we formed a great alliance with the University of South Florida, and we had some great professors and graduate students do some research for us in 4 areas: unemployment, healthcare, childcare, and housing. And the first report that they finished was the one on unemployment. And I'm going to quote you some of the things that they found back then. Most of their results came out just before the recession hit, so we know that these numbers are probably a little bit better then than they are now. The first thing they found was that most studies at the time did not break out things according to gender. They were kind of blind to the consequences of gender and did not focus on the ways in which women were affected by economic issues. For example, at the time of the report, at that time, the poverty rate was about 12.5% in Hillsborough County, and that's 1 in 8 people were below the poverty level. But when you look at the gender differences, makeup of families, the results are, of course, substantially worse. For example, at that time, while the poverty rate for all families was about 13.7%, that's 1 in 7 families, the rate for female-headed households was almost double that, or 25%. That's 1 in every 4 households. When you break it down even further by the age of children in the home, it continues to worsen. For female-headed households with children under the age of 18, the poverty rate jumped to about 32%. Now we're down to 1 in 3 families. And when you break it down even further for female-headed households with children under 5, the rate is a shocking 45%. That's almost 1 in 2 families. And of course, these numbers affect many other issues relating to women and children, like access to housing and quality child care. While the home ownership rate in Hillsborough County is approximately 64% for all households, it's down to about 25% for female-headed households. And then there are the elderly women who do, many of whom own their own homes, but cannot afford to maintain them. And it's a question of home maintenance or food for them. The sad fact is that women who suffer from being impoverished have family responsibilities that men still do not share equally. Too often, we're the primary caretakers. We take care of both our children and our elderly parents. And sometimes we do both at the same time. Our findings here in Hillsborough County substantiate what the United Nations calls the feminization of poverty, which is defined as increasing female proportion of the population on low incomes or in poverty, and a social process in which the incidence of poverty among women is much higher than that of among men. Ironically, the UN came up with this definition to describe conditions in developing countries, not here. But yet we are finding it here and now in the United States. So how do we begin to fix this problem? That's what we're here to talk about today. We know we need a living wage. We know we need access to quality child care for preschool children and so much more. We need our own economic agenda, an economic agenda for children and families. And I think we have the leadership here today, right here, who will help us articulate that agenda and start an economic revolution that will benefit both women and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Are there any other members from the Commission on the Status of Women, and Porter, Rachel? Great. Would you all introduce yourselves?
Jennifer William. I'm Mindy Murphy. I'm the CEO of the Spring of Tampa Bay, our local domestic violence center.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Anyone else from the Commission?
Lydia here, I want to call Lydia Madrano. She's a former member. She just went out.
Yes.
Just went out.
Hi, Lydia. Thank you very much for being here. And that reminds me, you know, when we talk about the challenges that women face, we have to remember that they're even more severe for women of color. And because this community is so diverse, we need to ask ourselves, is this putting us farther behind, and what other strategies do we need to employ to address those issues? Next, I'm very honored to have Nikki Capehart here because Nikki is a former small business owner. She's a mom of a wonderful young little girl who I love, and has been involved in government and is the current executive leader for the Urban League. Now, you know, the Urban League, it used to be the Urban League of Finance, now it's the Urban League of the Tampa Bay area, but Nikki really epitomizes someone who, through her hard work and support, was able to enter into professional life.